our next senator here, Ron Johnson. Come and speak.
Thank you, Travis, and thank you, Scott. I can't emphasize how important it is that we do take back the state of Wisconsin. As a manufacturer, 31 years here, and we do have a phenomenal chance of doing it. We've got great candidates, so get behind those folks. But I realize I'm pretty new on the scene here, so let me just give you a quick little thumbnail sketch of what my background is and why I'd actually be doing something like this. First thing to point out is, literally, I'm you. 16 weeks ago, I was a full-time business person and full-time manufacturer, so I'd be much more likely to be sitting in your seat asking a guy like me, why are you doing this? So just from a family background, I've got my wife of 33 years, Jane. We had our anniversary last Friday on the campaign trail, so I had a good time. We actually had an event down in Milwaukee where there was an Oktoberfest with the band. I tried to take credit for it. She had none of it. We have 3 adult children. All 3 went to the University of Wisconsin-Madison. All 3, by the way, returned home conservative. But my background, and very similar to Scott, hardworking. As a kid, I shoveled snow, I mowed lawns, I caddied, I had a paper route. Both my parents came from farms. All my aunts and uncles were farmers, so in the summertime I'd go down there. I've milked cows, I've done chores, I've baled hay, I've walked beans. Okay, that's a good upbringing for a young man. At the age of 15, I got my first job at a Walgreens grill as a dishwasher. I started a dishwasher, then I made my way up to soda jerk. Fry cook and finally night manager before I reached the age of 16, and I started out at $1.45 an hour. And when they made me night manager, they raised my pay to $1.60, and I'm going, right, they were recognizing my, geez. 2 months later, I found out they just increased the minimum wage. That knocked me down a few pegs. I actually was able to gain early admittance to the University of Minnesota, so I skipped my senior year of high school. I started college at night school for the first year, working full-time. I literally worked full-time all the way through college. Graduated in 4 years with an accounting degree and started working at a company called Johnson's over in Minneapolis, while I continued my education to get an MBA degree. Now, my problem with that is I've been procrastinating my final thesis for 31 years. So I never got that degree because I had the opportunity, I chose to move to Wisconsin. I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
So, moved to Oshkosh to start a business with my brother-in-law, Pat, extruding plastic sheet for medical device packaging. And these funny little cards you see on the table, that's our plastic. So, when I say I help build a business, I mean I help build a business. I'm an accountant, so I kept the books. But I helped install the equipment. I started running the equipment. It's a continuous shift. So I traded up 12, 13, 14 hours a day with Pat for the first year and a half. Running the equipment, learning how to make the material, training in supervisors and our eventual operators. About a year and a half later, we had an opportunity to expand our market base, so we needed a sales guy. So a 26-year-old snot-nosed kid stepped up the plate and I started selling product. I've sold our product around the world. I mean, I have been involved in the design of plant additions, 6 or 7 of them. I've certainly trained people, hired people, organized the staff, organized our operation. I've been buying healthcare for 31 years. Last 3 years, we actually instituted HSAs. By the way, that works. That's a way to control costs. At the age of 25, just 1 year into business, I was concerned about the health of Social Security, so we instituted 401k plans for everybody who works at Packer. The last 10 years, we've contributed about 8.8% of people's W-2 wages into the 401k, and I recognize that the people that work with me are really responsible for financial success. So we have very healthy profit sharing and gain sharing programs, and every time we write a profit sharing check to the employees, we have a little blank there, 401k contribution. We encourage people to do that because, again, I'm concerned about the long-term health of Social Security. But that's my background. That's what I've done in business. I am fully aware of how important business is, how hard business is. I've got a healthy respect for people in business, and that's a perspective that is sorely lacking in Washington.
Right.
I love this quote from Paul Ryan. He said, "You can't say you love jobs, but then hate the job creator." That is what we have in Washington. We got these politicians that, for short-term political gain, demonize business. I mean, I don't see what that adds to the conversation. I don't see how that helps create prosperity, helps our economy grow. So we need a different perspective. That's what I bring to the table. But that gives you my background. Why would I do this? Why would I subject myself and my family to this political process? Because it's going to get really bruising here in the next couple months. I did it because the final straw in my book was when they passed the health care bill. I mean, to me, that is the greatest single assault on our freedom in my lifetime. And the reason it's so dear to my heart is I have a personal experience. My daughter Carrie, my first child, was born with a very serious congenital heart defect. First day of life, she was rushed down to Milwaukee Children's Hospital, where a wonderful man, Dr. John Thomas, saved her life with the procedure at 1:30 in the morning. That's what doctors do. They're not 9 to 5. They come in at 1:30 in the morning to save a person's life. 8 months later, when she was 8 months old, another wonderful man, Dr. John Foker, totally reconstructed the upper chamber of her heart. It's the size of a plum. Now the good news is my daughter now is 27 years old. Her heart is backwards. It operates backwards. But she's actually a nurse herself in a neonatal intensive care unit. Okay, she was inspired by her doctors. And she also understood that she could be real inspiration on that ward to parents like Jane and myself, okay? So she's had a chance at a full life, but why? It's because my wife Jane and I had the freedom to seek out and find the most advanced surgical technique at the time to give her that full chance to life. We also have a free market system that advances medicine. I sell into that industry. I realize it is America where medical miracles are created. I mean, America creates the life-saving new drugs, the life-saving new medical devices and medical treatments. And that is what is at risk. So when they passed that health care bill, the health care monstrosity, I said, here's one guy, I've been sitting on the sidelines for 31 years. I mean, $1.5 trillion deficits, that didn't quite do it. When they passed that health care bill, I said, okay, a guy like me, it's time to get off the sidelines and do what I can to repeal this bill. Hopefully Scott won't have to opt out of Wisconsin because we'll wipe it away. Okay? Now that's just the freedom aspect of this healthcare monstrosity. It's also going to be a huge budget buster. I mean, when they first passed Medicare, they projected up 25 years and said it would cost $12 billion in 1990. In fact, it cost $111 billion, 10 times the original cost. That's what's going to happen this time. And that's going to be heaped on top of an already horribly broken budget. I just said, $1.5 trillion a year deficit, $13 trillion in national debt. We see Greece. We see this is unsustainable. John McCain was right. We are committing intergenerational theft. It's wrong, it's immoral, it's got to stop, and I am dedicated to doing everything I can to control the spending, to get it under control, stop the debt, and bring fiscal sanity back to this country. So for me, this election is pretty simple. You got a 30-year career politician who I would argue has been just part of the problem, has had his head in the sand, has not been addressing these problems, versus a guy with 31 years of real-world experience, manufacturing experience. I produce products. I export products. I've created real, sustainable jobs. It's kind of what the founders had envisioned. Somebody who's had a full life, a full career, raised a family. Take that body and breadth of experience, take that to Washington, and try and apply that as best I possibly can to the nation's problems. That's what I'm dedicated to doing. But I do like putting why I'm doing this in a slightly larger context. I'm 55 years old. I grew up in America that valued hard work. That celebrated success. Remember that? Remember when somebody's successful, you tell your kids, hey, see that person? You work hard, you achieve, you can be like that. Emulate that person. Now what do? We demonize them. We try and bring them down. They had to cheat somehow to get there. That's class warfare. It's not going to work. It's not an America I recognize. It's not an America that is going to work. Okay? So I really do. I've got a very, very strong sense. In the span of human history, this 234-year-old experiment we call America, it is something incredibly precious.